All right, hello, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Say Less Basketball podcast. I'm Zach. Most of you know me as the longing Steph fan of the podcast, but when I'm not, riding Steph, I actually moderate and I edit the episodes. So when we were recording episode 12, we ran way over time, and so I had to cut some stuff out. But as a result, this bonus episode was born. So this is some material from episode 12 that didn't make the cut. As always, check out the social media. Hope you guys enjoy this extra content. Here's the episode. First off, the Cuban and Luka Doncic comments about the play-in tourney. There's been a lot of controversy about the play-in tourney, a lot of criticism the last week about whether it's fair to other teams. Will, I know you have some of the comments, the full comments on it.
Yeah. So let's just look at what Luka and Mark Cuban said. So Luka said, "I don't understand the idea of a play-in tournament. You play 72 games to get into the playoffs, so 72 this year, obviously. Then maybe you lose 2 in a row and you're out of the playoffs. So I don't see the point of that." And then Mark Cuban later followed by saying, "The worst part of this approach is that it doubles the stress of the compressed schedule. Rather than playing for a playoff spot and being able to rest players as the standings become clearer, teams have to approach every game as a playoff game to either get into or stay in the top 6, since the consequences, as Lucas said, are enormous. So players are playing more games and more minutes in fewer days."
Facts.
I don't know. I'll start. Just to react from those, because I kind of skimmed through them at first. I agree with what Luca says. I do not agree with what Mark Cuban says. I agree that the whole, like, if you play and you earn a playoff spot, you deserve that. Like, I don't care how long the season is. If other people slacked off, if other teams slacked off for the whole year, that's their fault, bro. It's right. You don't reward teams for slacking off. This isn't college basketball, which still college basketball, that's a different story. But then Mark Cuban starts talking about how he wants, like, oh, it's hard for you to, be able to rest players, all that stuff. You have to play more games or more minutes in fewer days. I get that. That's life, man. That's life. Sometimes stuff happens and you just got to deal with it. So I don't like first of all, I don't like resting players, period. I think you guys know that about me. Like, I don't like that. So when he said that, that kind of, that rubbed me the wrong way.
Right.
Also, playing more games and more minutes in fewer days. I looked at the comparison of how many games they're playing per week this season versus others. It's like 3.6 versus 3.4 in others. It's not that different. It really isn't that different.
Really? Wow.
That was from, I think, Clutch Points. So, reliable source. That's not that different. It's not much to complain about. And I get it. Like, I don't want to play it back to back. As we've stopped playing basketball as much, we see how we feel after we play some basketball, right? Playing back to back for us is a little hard. These are professional athletes, so it shouldn't be as hard. I've never liked that. I've never liked that excuse or that complaint. Like, you're paid to play basketball. You play it for 82 days of the year. Come on.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
The passion should be there, I think. I agree. I don't really like resting players either. I think, sometimes, that takes, I think LeBron got accused for it a couple years ago for resting. And then ever since then, he has, been full. And if I'm healthy, I'm going to play. And I think that's good that he came out and said that, because that sets a standard for the league that, we don't want to have players resting, because it takes away from the competitiveness of the whole sport, I guess. So I think when players rest, it hurts basketball in terms of popularity. But obviously there's been moments in the past, namely some Derrick Rose moments when you think, what if, with the resting that's going on now, what would have happened with some of those players in the past? So there is that. I think there is, some of the benefits of resting. players if you're playing them too many minutes, I think can happen. So I think there is some room for players to rest, but it gets to a point where you cannot rest. I think back to back resting every other game is just too much in my opinion.
I have a couple points. I have a question though. Like, was the play-in tournament, was that just for the bubble? Or
That was one thing I was wondering. So I know
like
it's
what
just
was
for
the
the
point of it
bubble
this
Right.
season?
and
Yeah.
this year. I think it's just because they don't play a full season. But I was thinking they played close enough to a full season to not need
All right,
it. Like
it's
I've
10
always
games.
questioned
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah,
and
so
I didn't know. Real quick, do you
Right.
guys know if this is like something they're thinking about doing forever? Or like that was one of my concerns. But
I haven't heard about them doing play-in for a number of years, but I have heard of them doing tournaments and something related to soccer with like the
yeah,
Champions
yep.
League and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Yep.
understand. I don't think that's a good idea, but back to the play-in, like you said, I agree with Luca. I don't think players should be, or teams, I should say, I don't think should be not punished, but like not given a fair, like if they earn a playoff spot, they earn a playoff spot. So
Right.
it doesn't make sense with Mark Cuban, the whole resting thing. I agree. Like some players do rest too much. I understand if like some guys like injury prone and the coaches are being cautious.
Right.
I understand if some guys are old. I'd go back to
Yeah.
like San
Oh, yeah.
Antonio. You know how Greg Popovich is kind of the one that started the whole resting superstars on just
Mhm.
random nights. And it's funny because guys like LeBron and Harden, I know those two specifically. I remember they would like make comments talking about if I'm healthy, I play. Like I play for the fans and stuff like that. But
It's not true.
then,
but
then late in the season they end up resting, even though 2 days before that they played the game and they look fine to everybody. So I think it's capped when guys just say stuff like that. It's just for good PR. But yeah,
Right.
the whole play-in tournament, I don't think it's necessary because I mean if you have a playoff spot, you have a playoff spot. There's no reason you should have teams competing for a playoff spot, even though the 8th seed is the 8th seed. If the
I will
9th seed and
s-
10th seed, it's just dumb to me. I
I
don't know.
will say last year I could understand it more.
Yeah, that's why.
Just
Yeah,
Right.
last year, yeah.
last
Right.
year it
The
made
bubble.
sense. 72 is close enough to the 82 game schedule. They've talked about moving the season to 72 games. So if you're going
Right.
to move it to 72 games, why would you even think about this? The other thing I want to mention is
Yeah.
with resting players, while I do understand it for some people, like first of all, I think LeBron and the Spurs kind of started the resting thing. Like
Yeah.
way back when LeBron and Wade were on the Heat, LeBron and Wade kind of rested sometimes. And
Yeah.
then Popovich took it to a different level. And then Kawhi just took it to like astronomical levels, obviously.
Yeah.
But I remember going to Bulls games when they played the Heat just to see LeBron play. Like I wanted to see
Yeah.
LeBron James play. And he never played in a game that I went to.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, he always was resting. Now,
Mhm.
that's part of the reason that the NBA doesn't like when players rest and they start fining is because it's about money. I could understand maybe if you're resting the player on a home game, but if they're going to a different stadium, if I'm the Lakers and I'm playing in Minnesota against the Timberwolves, and LeBron's like and the AD are like, we don't need to play this game. We're gonna win it without us. We'll rest,
Yeah.
right? But
Right.
there are fans that go to those games to see them play,
Right.
right? And that's affecting the NBA's revenue. So I know they mentioned that a few years back, but that's another issue I have with it. Like
I understand it as a fan. Yeah.
as
For
a fan,
like,
I really didn't like that. I really
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. It reminds me of the comments about when the Last Dance was on, when basketball wasn't playing, about how all the comments about how you would go to the Bulls games to watch Michael Jordan play and put on a performance because it was like it was entertainment because you knew every night he was gonna do something that was crazy and insane. And I certainly think this resting, if players are resting like that, you don't know if they'll play, and that takes away from some of the impact on the fans, I think. So that sucks. But obviously the health and the concern of the players is a top priority. So
Yeah. Perspective, like if they play a game and they tell a coach or a trainer, I don't feel right, something's
Right.
happening, and
right.
they're injury prone, or if maybe they're an important player and the playoffs are close, they don't want to take any chances. I understand that.
Yeah.
But like I said, like LeBron and Harden, and especially Kawhi, they played fine one game, and then 2 games later, they're sitting out.
Right.
It can be home games too. I've seen LeBron sit out home Laker games too. It's just randomly.
Mhm.
So
It,
I understand
it's
that
a
point.
different mindset. It's
Maybe
just a different mindset.
I think
maybe
we'll,
it's
I think
day
we'll,
offs.
yeah. I think we
I don't
can see
know.
we might see what happens when the fans actually come back. Because maybe
Yeah.
they're saying, "Oh, the fans aren't here."
Who cares?
Right.
Right.
Because we just see it on television. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but this has been an issue for many years. This is not just this year.
Right.
So something that needs to be addressed.
Right.
Interesting takes there, fellas. But we're moving on. Recently, LaMarcus Aldridge had to retire suddenly after there were reports about blood clots, and he had a tough time playing one of the games. I think this just sucks for the Nets and Aldridge. One of the all-time best power forwards, really good stretch forward, really good big man. Damian Lillard actually called for the Blazers to retire his number. So I'm going to ask you guys what you think this retirement means for the Nets, and then also about his legacy as Aldridge. Do you think the Blazers should retire his number?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah, it sucks for LA. Apparently he's had this heart issue since like '06.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, I guess, a matter of time until it actually, affected him greatly to the point where he had to stop playing basketball. But
Right.
I understand that, he thought about his family, his personal health first. So I salute him for,
Yep.
taking such a, big decision and making it in the middle of the season too.
Right.
And apparently he's had like the heart, like, the whole irregular beats happened before, but apparently he hasn't had it as bad as he did after the Lakers game. So he kind of said, okay, maybe this is a good time to stop.
It's scary, yeah.
Right. So so I salute him for making such a big decision. Especially after, like, for him to play for the Blazers and them having a championship contending team, and then him signing with the Spurs, and then how they didn't really get to the finals. And for the first time in his career, he kind of felt like this is a good chance for me to win a championship. I think that's why, the big reason why he played for Brooklyn. So for him to have this happen to him, it just sucks, man. For real, I feel for him. But like I said, I salute for him for making the decision. Do I think it affects the Nets? I think they still have good enough bigs to compete. I think LaMarcus was just there for another full spacing, and another scoring option. But I think they have plenty of those. But guys like Claxton and DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, if you consider him a big, I don't know if you guys do, but I think they'll be fine with their bigs. But in terms of him retiring his jersey, Will, I know you're not really keen on guys that haven't really playoff success and championship banners. I know you don't think guys like that, if they don't accomplish that with their franchise, you don't really think their jersey should be retired. So I know what your take on that is. Me personally, I never really thought about jersey retirements being a big deal. I feel like if the guy hasn't had a big impact on the franchise, then retire his jersey. But Aldridge, I don't know.
I don't know.
I was saying like an
know.
exception to that rule would be like a Jackie Robinson, just not in NBA, but like to my, like my criteria, like that would be the kind of status. But go on.
Yeah, well,
that was just
okay.
If
go on, Zach.
If he's there for like a long time, I don't think it matters if he wins championships or not. I think.
That's one thing. If he's like a successful player there forever,
right, like
the brand
Dame,
up, whatever.
We're like Dame might not win a championship, but he's certainly gonna get his jersey retired. I think so. I'm just saying.
That's fair, but he's also carried some teams. I would look at him the way he's carried those Blazers teams and be like, okay, you got to give it up to him.
Yeah. Will, your thoughts?
Okay, so I consulted my medical advisor.
Oh wow.
My girlfriend to try and figure out. I just want to understand what was going on with him. He has Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. That's what it's called. That's that irregular heartbeat, and it causes your heart to race, which can cause something called tachycardia. And guys, if left untreated, what can happen to you is serious. You go heart failure, stroke, sudden cardiac arrest, or death. So
Damn.
this stuff is serious,
Yeah.
and I want to bring that up because I know we look at some players in the NFL, Luke Kuechly, right?
Yeah.
And some other guys that like in the NFL, NBA, maybe even I can't think of any off the top of my head, but like that retire early, and fans get pissed because they're like, "Oh, why would you retire?"
Yeah.
Well,
Andrew Luck.
yeah,
Luck.
Andrew Luck.
They boot
Andrew
him.
Luck's a big one,
They
right?
boot Andrew Luck off the field. Yeah.
It.
That's
I applaud him like you, Mohammed, because you gotta. It's hard. I can't imagine what it's like to be an
Yeah.
athlete making all this money. It may not even be about money, but doing what you love, him having a chance to win a championship finally, and then having to walk away because you know that you could kill yourself or you might tarnish your ability to walk for the rest of your life, something like that.
Yeah, right.
Like Brandon Roy, which we're going to talk about later. So I applaud him for that. I really do. And I think people should understand that he had something serious. This is not something that should be messed around with. Now I looked up treatment for this. There isn't always treatment for this. It could work, medicine could work, surgery could work. And you just kind of got to maintain it. That's kind of what I gathered from this. So you know, as for on the basketball side, I don't think it affects the Nets too much. I feel bad for him because, you know, if the Nets had won this year, I would like to see him get a ring. I think he's a good player. I think he's been a solid player everywhere he's been. And he's kind of like a stretch big man, but he still was a kind of a traditional big man in terms of he had a good post game. So I really feel bad for him, but I'm happy that he did what he felt was best. And I hope that he, can sleep well at night with this decision. And I really hope that he is successful in the rest of his career, whatever he ends up doing.
I agree. I think
the fact. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think even though I do root against KD and Kyrie and Harden a little bit, I think it would be cool to see, Blake and, DeAndre Jordan and Aldridge win rings here for the Nets. But I wanted to say that, this retirement, this decision, took, mental smarts and mental strength from Aldridge. You might say, well, he should have stuck with it. That would have been really strong. But I think it's stronger. And it shows his strength more that he was willing to just give it up and retire so suddenly because because of this serious condition that he just. I mean, that's crazy that this is his like biggest chance to win, and he makes the smart decision for his personal health, and his life. So I mean, that's just it's so tough and it's so strong. It's very inspiring from Aldridge to have that comment and that decision, in today's league too, about mental health, the comments about mental health too. And, safety is just, it's mind boggling just to see how Aldridge, handled this situation. I applaud him as well.
Yeah, I was going to say he played in the league for 15 years with this condition from day one. Man. So for the fact that he was a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA team. He was 47 points away from 20,000 career points. So the fact that, he made this decision, I don't know if he knew about that, but, for him to be that close to 20,000 career points and for him to have that condition and for him to accomplish that would have been amazing for him personally. And my second point is, I don't know if you guys heard about it, but I found out about this guy that used to play for the Celtics back in the late 80s, early 90s. I forgot his name, was something Brown. But I don't know if it was the same condition, but he did have a heart issue. And during the playoff game, he actually collapsed. Then he got taken off the floor and he went to the hospital. He woke back up again. And the doctors told him about the heart condition he had. I forgot what it was called, but he actually opted to keep playing. Well, he didn't actually opt to keep playing. He actually went to different doctors, different opinions. And this one doctor, I guess, told him, you could still play with this condition. And I think a couple months after that, he was doing a light workout in the gym. And he ended up going in cardiac arrest. And he actually ended up passing away because of that heart condition. So I don't know if LaMarcus knew about that story, but I did end up knowing about that because of LaMarcus' obviously heart issue. So, it's happened. It's happened to
Wow.
players before.
It'd be one thing if he was messing around with something other than an organ, right? When you start messing with stuff that's like essential
Vital.
to your life, vital,
Right.
you know. So I know we've said it. I just hope people can accept it,
Understand.
just accept him for what he did. He did a lot for the NBA,
Right.
It's not like he changed the game, but like he was a great player for many, many years.
Facts.
And that should be his legacy. And that's what it will be.
I agree. Very insightful comments, gentlemen. Thanks for that story, Mohammed. Pretty nice.
I didn't know that.
Pretty nice.
I learned my thing today, by the way.
A little bit of a solemn topic, but shout out LA. But we moving on to we have a lot of topics to keep going. We're at 50 minutes right now, but keep coming with this. Real quick though, Kyrie's comments on the N-word. A lot of weird. So recently, I'll fill everybody in. Kyrie, if you didn't see it, Kyrie and Dennis Schroder got into it in the Lakers Nets game, which was a couple of weeks ago, or it was somewhat recent. And there was back and forth between both players, and Kyrie got very heated about some of the words that Dennis said. So he went on an argument about how the N-word should not be talked about, should not be used. He does not like it.
He tweeted.
I don't really want to comment on this because I don't want to get into any trouble here.
Mohammed, this seems like your territory.
Oh man, this is bad territory here. But
yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on it, man?
Well, in the tweet, I mean, Will, do you have the tweet? I can't remember what it said.
The N-word is a derogatory racial slur. It will never be a term of endearment, reclaimed, flipped, and never forget its foul in true history. Throw the N-word out the window right alongside all of those other racist words used to describe my people. We are not slaves. Or N-words. Man.
Well, obviously, everybody knows that Kyrie has a reputation of being a woke person now.
No, just kidding.
A woke. And I actually give him respect for, I don't want to sound corny here, but like, kind of waking up and not opening his third eye, but just like researching, like just learning more about the history of African Americans. And I know I don't know if you guys follow him on social media, but I know on Instagram, he's always posting videos about the civil rights and Malcolm X and Martin Luther and just, stuff related to that type of things, that topic. But to this situation, I know he said he doesn't want the word to be flipped. So I don't know if he means from the ER term to the GA at the end term. But personally, like, I know people said in the comments, especially just, young folks, you're not going to stop people from saying the N-word, obviously. But I understand, like, what he means by that, just because of the way he kind of carries himself now. So I understand why he would say that. But I don't get why he got triggered from Dennis Schroder saying I know if you guys watched that game, Dennis Schroder and him were kind of not going at each other, but you could tell there was tension because Schroder's having a nice game, Kyrie's having a nice game. They're both guarding each other throughout the whole game. So I feel like he got mad because Schroder said that to him. And he got
Yeah.
I don't know if he took offense to it. They're both black. So I'm guessing he didn't say the ER one. He said the GA ending one, which a lot of people use. I don't think, me personally, I don't take offense to that. The ER ones has one of history. I feel like the GA one is what, like he said, people flipped into their own meaning. When I say that, obviously,
it's slang.
African Americans.
It's not literally slang, but it is slang.
It's a slang, basically. Yeah, I don't think people not when people say it, they don't say it as an offensive term towards a black person, as a racial slur. It's a slang term. But like I said, the way he kind of carries himself now, I understand why he would say that. So if he doesn't want to use it, I completely understand. But I just don't think, with the way people talk these days, I don't think it's gonna go away soon.
Right. Yeah, and I want to say he's entitled to his opinion. But the way he got so agitated about it and got himself ultimately ejected, I think is wrong. I think you should be able to. He should have taken it. He should have taken it. And then talked about the comments after the game, and not let it bother him, because if something like this happens in the future, and somebody gets on his nerves and he gets ejected, this hurts the team. If he gets ejected, he significantly hurts his team, and I have a problem with that. I think he's entitled to do whatever he wants, and have his own opinion on that word. But the minute you endanger and harm your team by getting ejected, I think is when you take it too far. So
I don't know if I didn't see what Schroder's reaction to it, to the ejection and the Kyrie tweet. I don't know if he knew about it. I don't know what the teams.
Kyrie was clearly like agitated once Dennis was saying it, but
yeah.
Dennis was like saying like calm down, like.
Yeah, I'm just saying like I just want to see like what his reaction to Kyrie's tweet was. So just like you said, it affects the team, but
right.
Like if Kyrie wants to say that, I don't have a problem with him saying something like that, but if he uses it too, then that's a problem. And it's funny because there was a video of him playing pickup. I don't know how long ago this is.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw that, right, Will? Yeah, he used the term. So, like I said, like the way he carries himself now, obviously he's a changed person with the the whole burning sage, and the whole walking stick, comes to the games with the stick and stuff. Mm-hmm. If he's changed person and he doesn't say it anymore, I understand. Yeah, you could speak up if you want people to know about that. I think it's a good thing for him to say that. But I'm just saying, like, if he got triggered from saying that because him and Schroder were going at it, then I don't think that's a good look for him.
Okay, so
yeah,
how many times do you guys think that word is said a game?
Players?
I would guess like 30, 40 times, maybe more. Yeah. Like, there's no way that was the first time it was said that night. No way.
Right.
As for getting triggered by it, I don't think he should have gotten triggered by it. Yeah. I got to be honest with you, from my experience, I think I hear that word more than any word in the English language. Like, it's just the most common word I hear, whether that's right or not. Now, I do, first of all, I see everybody on social media like roasting Kyrie for this. There's all, but then like I see professionals saying, yeah, this is the right thing. So obviously fans are going to be like this. And then people who actually, have to maintain an image and are professional would say no. David Aldridge was one of those people to come out and be like, this is right. We shouldn't do this. As for my personal opinion, I'm white, so like it doesn't really affect me, right? But
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
but I do think the word should be ridded of, just because you leave just by it being there, you leave so much room for interpretation, right? If a white person or somebody else comes and says that to a black person, you never know what they mean, right? You just start dropping the hard R. Okay, yeah, we know what that means, but like I'm just saying, like with it here, there's room for interpretation, and that can cause some problems.
Yeah. If people aren't educated,
and
it's not going to go away though. It isn't. It really isn't. It's become so cultural at this point that it's like it's just embedded in society. It really is, and I do think there's some dangerous games that can be played with it though. I really do, and I've seen them happen. I've seen it happen. I don't like the word. I think it's, as Skip Bayless says, I think it's the most egregious word in the English language, the hard R.
Yeah.
The A being the slang. But, like, I just don't like it. I don't say it. I don't think people should say it. But, like, you do you. I don't think Kyrie should have gotten offended. I know that it was said during the game. Like, I know that. I think he was he was nitpicking at that point.
Right.
Like,
because they were going at it.
He was exactly like you said. He was mad at Schroder for doing something, so he's like, "How do I redirect this and blame him for something else?" So, because he can't obviously he can't be like, "Oh, I'm mad because he's giving me the word,
locking me up." Yeah.
Like he can't say that.
Facts.
Those are my 2 cents.
Facts. I agree.
I think when you said the whole you being white, obviously, it's not part of your language, everyday use, but to a lot of African Americans, it is because it's a cultural slang word that's used all the time in music, in TV shows, and like you said, a lot of guys say it. I mean, I've seen a lot of
I hear it all the time.
LeBron.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys seen that video of LeBron yelling at Danny Green for not
scoring.
He
I saw that.
he called him that word that Kyrie got offended by. But like you said, if Kyrie doesn't want people to say that to him, I feel like he should be talking to Schroder, like trying to educate him or just explain why. You know, maybe something like after the game or in private. I don't think you should get triggered at something that you hear all the time, and then you just what's it called? You just make Schroder, like you loan out Schroder as the guy you want to go
isolate
after.
him.
You isolate. You isolate.
You target him as the villain, right?
Yeah, because he's been playing hard defense on you all game, and you know
Right.
you've been hitting tough buckets on him. So I just think he looks better on that part. But if he believes that what he said in that tweet, then good for him. I think it's a good starting point. Yeah. But it's gonna be something hard to get rid of for many years.
I just say, you do what you want to do.
Right. The fact that he blamed Schroder and you know targeted him, I think is like, I mean, you gotta educate him. I think if he doesn't know, right? You gotta educate him.
In Black society, I wonder if like it's just so cultural now that like if you say a Black person says it to another Black person, Muhammad, you butt in here. I don't want to get too like political, but like
I don't.
They would be like they just assume that's okay, right? Is that a thing? Like, so Kyrie, like you're saying, you have to educate Schroder, be like, hey, I know that's something in our society. Like, I know it's kind of accepted as okay now, but I'm not about that.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not about that right now. Yeah, exactly. He should have said something like that.
You don't need to make it public, you know, do all this.
Right.
But, you know, it's Kyrie. So
yeah.
So a very, very controversial topic. Let us hear your thoughts in the comments below on all this too. But hey everybody, thanks for listening to the bonus episode. If you want the whole story, go to episode 12. We have some more debates on there as well. Some more interesting topics, but appreciate everybody tuning into the extra content. Really means a lot to, you know, have people, you know, join for the bonus episode. So appreciate that. As always, you know, hit the social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that. But I don't have anything crazy to say like Muhammad usually does, but I'll see y'all later. Peace.